Hey, it's guys are here with Total Geek live, and I've got with me Baltimore and Guy Chapman and Danny. And you probably recognize the tune I'm singing because it's a 19XX. Oh, I'm gonna stop that right now. My
Puberty was so much fun you went back and you got puberty.
well,
Well,
this
he did go
is
through puberty in 19XX, so
yep,
sense.
19XX.
How were we kidding? We all knew you looked like that when you were 9.
Just a little thinner.
More beardy.
More beardy, but just a Zelda E. Ah!
You gotta be
Yes.
linking me.
Back on February 21st, 1986. 1990 something. 80 something. 86.
Ah, yes, the 1990s of 1986.
Those were the good old days.
Yes. Well, my memory's a little fuzzy.
Seems just like last week it was 1972.
Oh, but we're here talking about The Legend of Zelda. Miyamoto's just gift to humanity. You know, you thought it was Mario, but really, it's Zelda.
It's Zelda.
So we're going to watch two of the old commercials, get us, back in that old 80s, not 90s mentality. Gonna back.
Yes.
And then we're gonna just share some of our fond memories as we trip down memory lane.
When commercials for video games were freaking weird.
Yes, let's get it on, man, because these are. Oh, I had so much fun finding these. So I'm gonna push the play button now.
Huh?
Did you see the latest Nintendo newsletter? Whoa, nice.
Oh, Nintendo newsletter.
What, you mean this one?
What?
Yeah!
It's the Legend of Zelda, and it's really
Zelda ain't really rad.
Creatures from Ganon are really bad.
Oh my gosh.
They're gonna do that WikiLeaks thing and I'm gonna die inside. Yeah, there it is. I'm dead. See box for newsletter details. You mean this newsletter?
What?
Zelda become a legend on your
Nintendo.
system.
Oh god.
This
I
one's
forgot
just
about this one.
wild.
Is that Max from Saved by the Bell?
Levers.
I don't know.
It's like independent theater.
Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
A never-ending
Yeah, he's in a black box theater, yeah.
your Nintendo Entertainment
It's like I paid $20 for this.
Experimental theater.
Spared no
A man screaming.
expense.
Zelda names.
Wow.
Spared no expense on bringing that to us.
Zelda. Ooh, peahats. Oh.
Levers! Oh god, it's just bad. So bad.
Ooh, I
I
got
like
tears
Power
in
Glove
my-
bad.
Yeah.
Argla.
Oh, American marketing of the 1980s. Where hast thou gone?
Oh yes indeed. So what got you into Legend of Zelda? What put it on your radar?
I never actually owned the original one. I grew up a good part of my childhood was living in an apartment complex, and there was a
They didn't
Sir-
allow Zelda there.
it was banned. Now, there were several kids were all around the same age, give or take, and we never. I don't think any of us ever had the same game. We'd always just kind of swap and trade around, and I did play Zelda extensively. I just never actually owned it. But I do remember, I believe it was a buddy of mine, Jeff Rios, brought it over and played and played and played and played. Let me borrow it, and I played and played and played. We played it so much that we lost any challenge in it. So we're like, hey, let's try to beat the game without using the sword. So then we did that. And then I found out that was actually a challenge that a lot of people did. I thought that was like within my little, bubble of childhood in the apartment complex. But no, apparently that's a whole thing with Zelda players is going through without using the sword. Pretty crazy. And my favorite enemy is the Dondigo because I like to say Dondigo.
Which
Say it
one,
3 times
It's like
fast.
which
he
one
doesn't.
is the Dondigo?
He's the
Triceratops.
Triceratops.
Where did the Dondigo go?
He went boom because he
Hey,
had to kill
Dondigon.
Did he Dondigo go before you wake up?
Uh-huh.
That was one of the most cringy scenes in that CDI Zelda game, where Link's talking about Dodongos. It was just killing me. I could eat a whole Dodongo. Could you? Could you really?
Yeah.
You liar.
Are you Fred? Are you really Fred Flintstone? No.
Tripping me out, man.
I think my first experience with Zelda was probably at my friend's down the street. I'm sure he got the Nintendo before I did. So I probably paid the games over there. And then I remember my sister and I got the Nintendo for Christmas, whatever year it was. And I think that was one of the games that she was like, I want. And we ended up playing it. I don't think I ever finished a Zelda game.
What?
I'm not that good. I got to a point where I couldn't finish, and I was like, okay, all right. And
I had fun. Next.
yeah, I enjoyed it, and I got pretty far, but I think there was just something that I could never get past, or some level or challenge I couldn't figure out, and I was just like, okay. And something else caught my attention, and ooh, squirrel.
Right. Was it the X-Men LGN game?
Probably
I'm so
not.
sorry.
Possibly.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I lied to you.
you stopped playing Zelda for X-Men LGN. That'd be sad.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I owned this game or if I just rented it so much. But I know that I played it a lot on my system, and did make it all the way to Ganon and all that good stuff. It is definitely one of my top 10 games. This is just an absolute classic. I love the guy, you and I were talking about it earlier this week, the illustrations that came with the game manual, which I found the slides for and put them in there, and they were just absolutely amazing. And so I wanted to see those illustrations made into a cartoon movie. I thought that would have been incredible. Made by the people that did Tolkien's work or something. I thought would be really cool, but that never came to fruition. But just the thought process that came and the creativity that came into making this game, and the packaging, the fact that it was a gold cartridge.
Yeah.
There it is. Was amazing. What? Yeah.
Boo-doo-boo-boo!
I'm sorry, I gotta hold.
You've gotta go. Da-na-na-na.
Yeah, you got a piece of Triforce. Woo
Yeah.
It's just such a classic overall piece of creative work that Nintendo put out. I love it.
And I was watching a speedrunner the other day going through Zelda.
In your eye.
Oh, sorry. Link down below.
That's one of my puns.
Oh,
Link to the pun.
A link to the pun. So where was I going?
Speedrunner.
Speedrunner. I was watching a speedrunner, and wow, there's some crazy glitches I never knew existed. Like this guy was like warping just to the other side of the screen constantly. Like he'd just like come out and he'd go like bloop bloop bloop, and like he would glitch over, and like he shifted over to like a whole other world map.
Oh, wow.
How did that happen?
I mean, it was just crazy. And I was sitting there watching like, oh my God. It's like, I remember some of the glitches, just because games were glitchy back then.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, games are always glitchy. It's nothing new or nothing old, but yeah, I never exploited them to the extent that this guy was doing. It was pretty amazing.
So I remember like when I first saw what Legend of Zelda was, because I got my Nintendo like for my birthday in '87, and I went over to a friend's house and stayed the night. And he had the game, but he also had this magazine, the Nintendo Fun Club. This was issue 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like staring at this, and that's all I could stare at. I was like, what an amazing world. And at the time, that's basically how I saw the game. I mean, it's all the little pixelated graphics, but that's how I saw the games. And it was like, you subscribe to this for free, and you could get like the whole like actual
Yeah.
instead because like the game came with like a little tiny map, but it blocked out some of the more challenging parts.
Yep, exactly.
So this was like the full map, and I actually have, you can't see it here, but I have like little illustrations I drew on places you can bomb and things like that. It's all my little self. And then I gave myself tips. And then like the next page over, it's asking what happens when Link grows up, where it does its first advertisement or first announcement of Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link.
Wow.
So and
that I did own. I did own The Adventure of Link.
Well, there's hope for you, yes. But Zelda 2 had the same like those illustrations like in the instruction manual. They were just beautiful, and it's like I so wanted like an anime or something based off that, and the closest we got was the Legend of Zelda cartoon.
Oh yeah, talk about that, man.
Yeah, I was after the Super Mario Super Show.
Yep.
Yeah.
They had super sarcastic Link, and everything was, "Excuse me, princess." And it's like, it was so weird as that show went on. He just got more ridiculous with that phrase. It was like 30 seconds long or something.
Was it voiced by the same guy who did Peter Venkman's voice?
No, it wasn't. Okay. It wasn't Lorenzo Music. I don't know who that was. I'll have to IMDb it now because I'll stay awake all night. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I remember Zelda because it was like there were the two biggest things I remembered were like, I loved the opening music when you turned it on and it showed like over the waterfall, and those are the best graphics of the time. And so I love that haunting version of the Zelda theme. I still love that. I just watched that on repeat over and over. And I just loved like the openness of it. I mean, at the time where most games were like one screen or side scrollers, you really felt like you could go anywhere and do anything, and there were no restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
It was the first open world game on it, really.
Yeah, for consoles, absolutely. And it's funny. I've loved the Zelda games over the years, some more than others, but I think Breath of the Wild was the one that came closest to the true original Zelda formula, where I kind of felt like this whole world is all mine to explore and do whatever I want. And I just loved that. I think that's why I love Breath of the Wild so much, because it felt so much like the first game.
Yeah. I totally agree with you there. I'm still working on it. I'm getting ready to fight Ganon, in Breath of Wild, but it brought me back to the original. I love A Link to the Past on it was the Super Nintendo. I think that one, in Game Informer put it as number 1 out of the 300 top games. They put that one as number 1, and it's up there for me.
Oh yeah.
But because it's a definitely brilliant game, but Breath of the Wild really pulls me back to this game, this first one, and has me going back to where, man, after I'm done with this, I want to go back and play original Zelda again, because I haven't played it in such a long time.
Oh yeah.
That to me, I think it would be kind of refreshing. I've forgotten some of the areas to bomb and all the little secrets and stuff, and so it'll be nice to kind of go back and play it again, because it'll feel fresh to me again.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking of shirking my duties and popping in Link to the Past on my SNES Classic.
That's a good game.
Yeah. No, I've got work to do. But
Oh,
man, it's so
Isn't that
tempting.
adult?
I got an adult.
Yeah. Adult.
But
Aw.
I mean, it spawned so much pop culture today. I mean, phrases from "It's a secret to everyone" to "It's dangerous to go alone. Take this," and
Mhm.
even when you get an item, da 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 da. And I mean, they've a little link over there. But yeah, I mean, it's just everything was great. You had like the little flute that you like summon tornadoes and would take you all over the map, and I mean,
yeah.
graveyards and forests and deserts
And
and
caves where you could
caves and
gamble.
ocean sides and
Couldn't you
oh
get?
yeah.
Wasn't there the cave where you could gamble?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, you could blow up rock faces and burn trees, and you could find people, and sometimes they'd make you pay for the door charges, like for destroying their home's door, which I thought was funny. But you had this big, this huge inventory of all these items, and even if you died, you didn't lose anything. You didn't start from scratch. You might start from the first screen, but everything that you accomplished, you could just tough it out and go again.
Right.
And I thought that was so cool at the time because 3 lives and you were done back then.
Yeah.
I think I remember seeing that this was the first game that allowed you to save and continue, and you could, leave the game and kind of come back to that. So I think that was, an innovative, concept at the time that now we take super for granted.
Right.
Where's my save point?
Yeah. What, you
And
mean it didn't save?
Absolutely.
I was fond of the blue boomerang. I loved the blue
Yes.
boomerang because you could freeze stuff with it. It was amazing. It got me out of so many jams. Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you started with the yellow brown boomerang, which looked like you were throwing bananas at people, which
Yeah.
kind of made me happy.
Yep.
And then the blue one is like, oh yeah, and that's
It
when
had more distance. Yeah, it had the freezing ability. It was just, oh, it was so great. It's all good times.
Sure.
and even the bosses were dangerous too. I mean, there were so many different types of bosses. I mean, there was the Gleeok, the one where you chop off his heads and then all the
And
heads
fly
fly out.
around.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the second quest where it was harder and like you could cheat and type in Zelda in name registration and immediately go to it.
Yeah, that was also one of the first games I remember really having a second quest. Or
Mhm.
like it introduced so many staples in video games that it deserves the legendary title. The status that it has in the gaming culture and everything. It really championed so many ideas and gameplay concepts. It's really worth exploring, minutely.
Hmm.
Yeah, it makes me wonder if anybody's ever done a thesis on it.
Oh, I'm sure there's.
Gotta be, right?
Oh
There
yeah.
probably is.
Yeah.
There's probably Zelda historians out there that make this into a thing.
Probably, for sure.
Nice to show up on TV and you got Zelda historian on your little caption thing there.
Not talking about F. Scott Fitzgerald, Zelda.
No.
That's right. Which Zelda was named after. So,
Yep.
and Robin Williams named his daughter after Zelda. So,
Right. So it's just keeps going on.
Do you remember when the internet was first a thing, and
Pepper's
Zelda.com,
Farm.
Zelda.com was a porn site, and Nintendo was fighting like hard
Oh.
rights? Yeah.
Wow.
Gives a whole new meaning to finding the flame rod.
Might need to be a doctor.
Torching the bush.
You might want some pointers for that.
Oh, good grief.
Oh, wow.
So, which was your favorite of the whole series? You had to rank them like 1 to 3. Your top 3.
Wow.
I would go, and I'm the oddball in the group, I'm sure. 1 would be Zelda 2. 2 would be Majora's Mask because it was so damn creepy.
Oh yeah.
And And I love the theory that you're dead the whole time, and you're like it's like this weird purgatory.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth if look up that theory and finding it, and when it points out all the different things that kind of point to the fact that you're dead the whole time, it just makes it even more surreal. Um, and then number 3,
Link's crossbow training.
yes, no, I never played that.
But now you're going.
No, well, I still have my Wii, but I never bought the peripheral that it goes with. I'll have to get back to you on 3.
Danny?
Wow. I never played Majora's Mask, which was I kind of always regret because I know there's a huge fandom just with that. I mean, so many cosplayers to the little dude with the mouse.
The Deku Kid?
Yeah, Deku Kid or whatever. But, so I think I've played 4 or 5 Zelda games. I know at least 4. So the top 3 would probably be, man, it's so hard. Like, I think they would all 3 tie. But definitely A Link to the Past, and then the first Zelda. But I think Breath of the Wild kind of trumps them all because it's just such a gorgeous game.
Yeah.
And it brings back it really truly brings back the roots of it, but offers new types of gameplay, and just kind of opened up my eyes more about the whole series and wanting to go back and try some of the games that I have not played, and then even go back and play the games that I have but just haven't played in such a long time. So yeah, I think that's what it'd be. What about you, Guy?
My number 3 would be number 1 there.
Oh, this one.
Your number 3 is number 1.
Number 3, number 1.
Tingle's balloon fight would be your other one, wouldn't it, John?
Dude, don't you mess with Tingle.
All right, so my 3, the original Legend of Zelda, just because of its purity. I just think it's such a well-designed game that still holds up, and that's why that's number 3. Number 2 used to be my number 1 untouched for years. That was the Ocarina of Time. I thought that was just such a well-done story, and it opened up all the multiple Zelda timelines for better or for worse. But I just thought it was such a well-done story-based game, and it really kind of, 3D was still new, so it gave like the world depth and width, and just, you felt like it was more than just a screen. It was like things you climb in and under and go towards, and it was so innovative. And they did a remake for 3DS, which I think improved the graphics to what we thought we remembered versus, because like PlayStation 1 and Nintendo 64 games are just kind of ugly when in retrospect. And they're great games,
they are.
But they're ugly.
Ugly.
They are ugly.
That's why, when you see people making retro games, you don't see them making PS1 games. They're doing the old pixel art stuff because it looked cool.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff on the 64 and PlayStation, we thought it looked cool, but no, it's crap.
Just a bunch of crappy polygons.
Pretty, I think, but...
Yeah, all the 3D stuff. I mean, there's some beautiful looking games, the 2D stuff. But yeah, if it was 3D and fully polygonal, it looked pretty,
That's the best way to describe it. And then, of course, like Danny, I have to go. Breath of the Wild is number 1 because it expands on Ocarina of Time. It builds out an even bigger world that you can do even more, and it eliminates the choice of no. If you want to do it, then you can do it, and I think that opens up that freedom, which I felt as a kid that the original Legend of Zelda has. I want to go to this place. Okay. I don't have the item to get it right now. Okay, I'll get it. Now I've got even more to explore. And yeah, I think Breath of the Wild is my number 1, but I still have very soft spot for Legend of Zelda.
Nice. Well, for me, I have not played more than 2 of them.
So your top 3 are...
Count them twice.
It would obviously be, Legend of Zelda, then A Link to the Past, because those are the only 2 that I played. And I enjoyed them. I liked them a lot. But it was one of those things like I got to a point where I didn't do a lot of gaming for a while, and that's one of the things you kind of miss out on.
Yeah.
All the games.
Yep.
But I did love them so much. I had spent a lot of time, and I remember those magazines. I remember actually, I feel like I may have made a few phone calls to the helpline for Legend of Zelda. I would not be surprised. They probably got in trouble for those as well.
I know I did.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, it's long distance? I'm sorry. Call them again the next day.
Kind
I don't know who made these calls. Yeah. It's very child. It brings me back to my childhood.
Yeah.
Right.
Smiley, happy, sitting there for hours playing and trying to figure it out, and yeah, exactly.
Like I see my living room. I can see the apartment complex, the parking lot, like all from the screen with Zelda, and it just brings back every memory that radiates out from that.
Oh yeah.
So this has been another 19XX. Us just talking about our love for one of the all-time greatest games. Thank you, Shigeru Miyamoto.
Yes.
You truly are the godfather of gaming in a lot of aspects. Let us know what your favorite Zelda memories were. What was the first one you ever played? What made you fall in love with it? Do you hate it? Tell us why you hate Zelda.
And what's wrong with you if you do?
Right.
No, they could totally have a viable reason for hating Zelda.
Because she keeps getting captured by Ganon? I mean...
Stop.
It's just her and Peach and like this support group.
Yeah. Together.
Captured princesses.
Mm-hmm.
Let them be.
So yes, again, thank you so much for watching. We'd love to hear from you. Comments, hit us up on Twitter at Total Geek Live, Facebook at Total Geek Live. Yeah, it's at Total Geek Live on any of the social media we're on. We're on it all, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah. Instagram.
Check.
So, yep, check.
Friendster.
As always,
MySpace.
As always, it's all Geek Does. Bye.
Oh, y'all.
Why'd you give me that look? You can be on MySpace.
I think that
You need to link to the past to find that.